bring it back. This particular letter now, because there are several correspondence that has happened. I don't know if you could see that clearly. Yeah. But it's from the Ministry of Interior. We could see the head of civil service also, I think it's addressed to her, is talking about the reinstatements into service of the man in question, Mr. Maina, signed by the Deputy Director, Permanent Secretary's office there. So you're saying that, look, all this correspondence, in other words, the Ministry of Interior is also...
Look, if you understand it now, you will see that what this letter is addressed to the head of service.
Yeah.
And this letter is now referring to a letter. I'm directed to acknowledge the receipt of your letter. That is, the head of service wrote a letter to the Ministry of Interior asking that the man be reinstated. And the Ministry of Interior is now acknowledging receipt of that letter and is now confirming to the head of service that the man has resumed. So, Ministry of Interior is just doing what they should do civil service-wise. The head of service is the head of the civil service.
Who was supposed to raise the objection that Maina is wanted by the EFCC when these letters were filtering through?
The head of service ought to know. He's such a senior person that he must know what is going on. And no, but you see, this thing couldn't just have happened overnight. It was processed. Okay. And I'm sure, even if it has been processed through the Office of Central Government, because it's like a political solution. It's a political thing. Now, it is now left for the head of service to have cautioned or protested that what you are doing is irregular. It's not in accord with civil service procedures and rules. But you know where we are, a lot of people, because of their position, they don't want to lose it. They don't want to be on the wrong side of some people or whatever, for whatever reasons.
Some people, who are those people?
That's right. That's the problem of Nigeria. Who are these hidden people who think they can, I mean, if it was, it's effrontery, absolute effrontery. That Maina will walk away, then come back to the state team, and you think Nigerians are that a bunch of stupid people. That's why there's something to talk about. That's why everybody is annoyed.
His memo, the reinstatement, the memo
reinstatement
in April, was signed in April.
It is the head of service.
That's 6 months ago.
That's what it is the head of service that wrote to the Ministry of Interior, if you understand this letter. It is not the Ministry of Interior reinstating him.
Okay, that's taking this letter in isolation.
Yes, because taking this letter in its face value.
Yeah.
As it is standing
it means
here,
there's correspondence.
There was a letter from the head of service saying reinstate this fellow. And these permanent secretaries, being very, very smart, now wrote a letter to the head of service, referring to the letter which the head of service wrote to say, okay, I hereby confirm that your instruction has been...
Even if the instruction didn't expressly come from the HOS's office, this letter gives the impression that it does.
Yes. That's what this letter is saying. Because he quoted his reference number of the file and the date at which it was sent. So, you see, there can be a lot of alibi if anybody wants to play any alibi, so many alibi. The head of service can say, I don't know anything about this letter.
Can the Minister of Interior say they don't know anything about it?
They know,
or the minister?
The minister, if the minister says he doesn't know about this, that's what I told you, he's not supposed to be a minister. So just walk away and say,
let's look at an event that he doesn't know about it.
That he doesn't know about it.
And you said that in this administration, in this government, you would expect that this kind of things don't happen.
It should not happen.
If it was the previous government,
I'm not even saying previous government. It shouldn't happen in any civilized place in the world.
But according to you, said in the previous government, perhaps it could happen.
No.
But because this government is fighting corruption,
that's right.
Totally, this shouldn't have happened.
At all.
But if that corruption has filtered in so much that the eyes of the minister, the eyes of the permanent secretaries were shut down to this action, where then lies the fault?
The system is yet not cleaned up, and we can see that in a few cases too. And that's why I first started by giving the example of the former head of service. I think the whole of the presidency, I think there's a need, and all these supporters there, they are doing a disservice to this country. They are doing a disservice to Mr. President who appointed them.
I'm just listening to you. This is deeper than a lot of people actually think.
They are just talking the surface. Because, see, a lot of people know there are a lot of people that are involved.
A lot of people involved in this?
Yes, because, you see, you couldn't have done it without knowledge of staff. You couldn't have done it without the knowledge of head of service. You couldn't have done it without the knowledge of the Secretary of Government. You couldn't have done it without the knowledge of the Minister of Interior himself. You couldn't have done it without the knowledge of AGF. Though the AGF can stand by the side and say, this is the information they gave me, and that's why I gave that advice. You could, like a lawyer that he is, you could escape.
These are very powerful positions you mentioned.
That's right. So none of them could deny knowledge. Even if they deny it, they're just fooling themselves.
Those are the heads of those institutions.
Yes. They cannot deny. If they deny it, they are fooling themselves. They are calling themselves fools. So I put you in charge of a thing. Something happened where I put you in charge. You say you don't know about it. Then you're a bloody fool. I shouldn't have put you in there in the first place.
What do we do? What about people like FCSC, that's Federal Civil Service Commission, or the Interior?
The Civil Service Commission only employs you.
Do they have a case to answer here?
Not really. Not really.
What about
it may be tangentially only, but you see, the Civil Service Commission does employment, interview you to get employed into the service. And you are transferred to Ministry of Staff.
So now that he was reinstated and then the president gave orders and then he was
now removed.
He was now removed.
Yes.
Was the process of removing him proper?
They go and tidy it up. The process of reinstating him, was it proper? I mean, you cannot talk about removal. The process of reinstating him, was it proper?
Because he could.
No.
Because if he was reinstated and all the papers are there to show that he's reinstated,
but see,
and then he can easily go to court.
He can go to court.
No, you cannot pull me out like that because this is infringing on my human rights.
I agree absolutely that he can go to court. Everybody is free to go to court. Whether I can win is a different kettle of fish. Because when the chips are down, we would get the truth. And it's even better for him to go to court so that we get the truth.
I know you know the case of Chukwudumeme
yes.
Wamadike, a.k.a. Evans.
Yes.
The court ruled over it, and he's still almost a free man. So what guarantees, what guarantees are there that if Maina goes to court,
yes,
this case will not be one that is so prolonged as other cases and it becomes inconclusive?
No, you see, don't forget that Maina is a civil servant. The other fellow is not a civil servant. They can use the whole power of the civil service and get him out. I mean, you see, you don't forget that the president is commander-in-chief. And don't ask questions from your commander-in-chief.
But you know,
the president also is a democratic
elected
and
president.
he wants the democracy.
But you see how commander-in-chief for his where is the president commander-in-chief for? Don't forget, I still do it.
You know, if there's been correspondence since April about this restatement of Maina, how is it then possible? Because you say SGF has a question, should know about this.
They all know.
So is it possible too that the president may have heard about this, but didn't know the gravity of it?
I don't want to do that. You see, because of the health situation of the president, honestly, it's very difficult to even know how to get him into some things. Because the mere fact that you see somebody standing in front of a television does not mean he's healthy. Okay? And you people know that there are times you arrange certain things just for a purpose, and maybe the purpose, then the person goes back to his normal condition. How much of the president have really seen, you know? And that's why I say the people that are surrounding the president, they are not helping him at all. Because let us even agree that for whatever political reasons, they want to protect Maina, or they want to give Maina a soft landing. They could do it in other ways. This is too clear, this is too patent. I mean, where the man stole money, you now just send him back there. Why don't you just take the man, send him to Nigerian Airways or somewhere and ask him to go and cool there and give him some money and let it be another 4 or 5 years and bring him back? You know, but this one is a blatant disregard of Nigerians. I mean, that's the way I see it. Blatant disregard that is something they can do.
In addition to that, it raises questions about the fight against, deep questions about the fight against corruption. Because if since April, the processes were being worked upon to be perfected,
yes,
it means that institutions out there is deep in this.
Yes, they are. Okay, what about, but you see, we are talking about budget padding, all these things. You see, they are in the same administration. But thank God that it was the president that said, I will not sign this budget because I suspect foul play.
But we didn't see any sacking at that time. So.
That's right. You see, that is, once you have a law and there are no sanctions, then it's better you don't even have that law. Or even if you have sanctions and you don't carry out those sanctions, then don't even have the law.
Should he sack anyone who's got questions to answer?
Yes. Because that budget padding thing, I think...
I mean about this particular one.
I will even right from budget padding.
Yes, please.
Except if staff tells us otherwise, that maybe they demoted some people or something like that as an internal mechanism. As an internal mechanism, maybe.
The staff too should know about the budget.
No, that is, maybe as an internal mechanism, some people are reported to them and they took disciplinary action against them, we don't know. You see, disciplinary action does not mean dismissal. They can demote you. They can do this. So it's not dismissal. It can be anything. Okay,
let's. Okay, we understand we have to wrap this up, but it's really that's how far we can go on this particular matter. We appreciate your coming on this morning and giving us the benefit of hindsight about what happens in civil service. So you have heard, Minister of Establishment, you need to speak up on this one. Thank you for coming on. Dr. Bumi Ajayi is a retired civil servant amongst many caps. We're back in a moment. Don't go away.